All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm joined once again with John Paul Rice. I mean, I've had a lot of great interviews with you. And we're going to be talking about Game Day, the new movie you have out on Vimeo, on demand, on Amazon. You were the producer of Child's Voice. A lot of great attributes to you in Hollywood. And you've come out and talked about a lot of deep and dark subjects in Hollywood on my show, and got a lot of traction for that. And I don't even know where to kick it off from here. Where do you even want to start with this? Because I kind of want to talk. I want to talk about the movie Game Day. I want to go into that.
Yeah.
But where you're at now, where are things now for John Paul Rice?
Yeah. Well, David, first of all, thanks for inviting me back on, to have me on, and to give me to your audience to talk. Where I am today, where I guess if your audience remembers the last time I was talking to you, it was very passionate, very emotional. I was struggling with a lot of stuff at that time, and I think that was apparent to anybody who may have looked into it. But it wasn't a bad place. It was a place I had to work through, and I think that it's sort of like all of us right now. We're having a lot to work through. I made this movie Game Day because it was a thing that, as a producer, as an artist, and as a producer, not just as a businessman, but as a filmmaker, we have an obligation to tell the truth as best as we can and try to be as authentic as we can. And in the face of, and I didn't do this against Hollywood, but in the face of what Hollywood is putting out these days, which is, these are the good people, these are the bad people. It's very, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling. There's no depth to their movies anymore. It's emotion based, but it's not richness of the character's journey. Game Day is a metaphor really of our time. It's actually a story about right now that's going on, which is deep divisions, bitter resentment, rivalries within the family that are triggered in one day, over 90 minutes, one day, where they all gather together. An Italian-American family from Philadelphia gathers together every Sunday during football season to watch their Eagles take on whatever opponent. In this particular day, it's their most hated rival, the Cowboys from Dallas. And over 4 quarters of a game, the family begins to disintegrate, not because of just negative things, but truthful things being told. All of the preceding moments leading up to that were storylines in all of the characters, multi-generational, from the grandparents to the parents to the parents of those parents and the ex of one of them, along with the children of separate families, the children that were created of the new family and the created from the old family. And all of this rises up to the surface, where the rivalries within the family become those wilder than the game. And the question is, who will win?
Right.
And so that film was made in Philadelphia with Philadelphia actors.
Is this like an average Philadelphia household that I'm looking at here? I mean, what are we looking at here?
Yes, and it's based
like, this is a very disturbed family. I don't know. I was just like, damn, this is dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Is that normal in Philly? I don't know.
Well, Philadelphia, this thing, I got to spend a year over time going to Philadelphia, and I told people at the premiere in November that one of the things I learned about Philadelphia is that there is a madness and an insanity, a craziness with passion, but to balance that, so there's like a brutality in Philadelphia on the whole, right? One of the oldest cities in the country. And the other side of it is that there is love and care that keeps it together, because they fight and argue passionately on such a level that you go, oh my God, these people are terrible to each other. And at the same time, they can turn the other way and be there for each other.
They're passionate. They're passionate.
They're passionate. They're
passionate.
I
guess that's the word you could use.
Yeah, they're passionate, and yeah, they got their dysfunctions, but they wear it. I mean, they don't hold back. It's not like, I mean, in the case of LA, where everybody kind of smiles and like secretly,
fake.
But this one is authentic because it's got the real sauce of life, which I believe in the director and the people that we made this with is like, There, good and bad, it's complexity, its richness, its depth. And at the core of this story is that people who argue and fight passionately equally care for each other as well. And that's why you see in the end of the film, what transpires is not one of division, hatred, and anger and bitterness, but actually when the truth is finally spoken, everyone can begin to live free.
Well, I watched it last night and I was thinking to myself, wow, this is like a Jerry Springer show in the making.
Reality TV comes full circle.
Fuck, I've seen this before on Jerry Springer.
Right. And this is the thing I would tell, like, if people wanted reference to like how would you describe this movie to something I've seen before? Well, you haven't in probably a very long time, but I would say it has the authenticity and humor of Little Miss Sunshine in moments.
Yeah.
And then it has the depth and drama of Ordinary People combined.
Right.
And it's sort of a hybrid in that way, but it's a unique story that is not limited to Philadelphia. It's actually universal about all of us. And I say this very bluntly, I challenge anybody to watch this film, whether you like the movie or not, that's not the issue. But I challenge anybody to watch this film and not see someone in your family in this movie.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
The generation gap between my parents and myself, my parents are World War II era and they're in their late 80s. So I'm basically just a caretaker for my parents now. But I'll tell you what I was doing. I was watching that movie and I was thanking the Lord above that I don't have a dysfunctional family like that. Now, granted, I have my problems with my family, with my parents and this and that. We all do. Every family, every household does. But this one was like, man, I was just happy not to be in that household.
You feel very fortunate to walk out of there.
I got it good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a ride. And I mean, we had in Philadelphia, we had at the premiere, we had a packed house. There wasn't a single seat that was not filled. We had standing room only in the back.
That's awesome.
And the reactions that came out of it from that were like, holy shit, I was riveted for 90 minutes. Takes place in one day in a house and then one scene 2 years later. That's it. And I'm sitting here going, I'm watching films like Dune and other ones, and I'm going, okay, all right, where are we at in the story? Because there's no story. It's just externalized events that are occurring and the characters are going. I'm not trying to knock Hollywood here. I mean, it's easy to do these days.
Well, you've already done that.
Well, I mean, I don't need to inflict more damage because they're really inflicting it upon themselves, right? In a way.
I'll be honest with you, John. I don't watch. Yeah. I don't watch. I think the whole current is going a different direction now. I mean,
yes.
I turn on Netflix. It's very rare I find anything on Netflix I want to watch. I'll be honest. I look at it all like crap, and I'm sure all my audience probably feels the same way. There's no good movies anymore. It's like it's far and few between. There's all these titles of movies, and I'll find one out of 100 150 that I might want to watch, and then it just turns out to be a dud. So I feel like the current now is like moving in a different direction. Hollywood's changing, and you're basically in the forefront of this, pioneering a new I guess independent film is where it's going, right?
Yeah, well, I want to invite filmmakers. If anybody's listening today, this is not about me and my company and what we're doing at No Restrictions, but I want to invite people to say, listen, you want to get out of this rut that you're in. If you're an independent filmmaker and you feel like, what the hell can I do these days? Because the truth of the matter is, David, and I didn't know this until recently, prior to COVID being messaged, right? There were 45 buyers out there. This is not the distributors. These are buyers of independent content, of content in general. There's only 6 today.
Wow.
Just in a year, just in 1 year. And so even things like Tubi, and all these new platforms that are coming online, they're owned by Fox and Comcast. Right. So these are just conglomerates with smaller divisions that I'm not going to get into the details of it. I understand it quite well what they're doing. But the reality is this. In this time, in 2022, if you're an independent filmmaker and you are still relying on the old model to make for you both your film and distribute and market it, you're going to fail. Because the only thing that you can do is imitate the crap that they're going to put out, because that's the agenda. They're going to chase money left and right. If Spider-Man, like right now, has made over $1 billion in 9 days, everybody is going to be throwing their weight behind that and trying to figure out whatever kind of spin-off franchise similarity that they can capitalize on market share for. That's how Hollywood is right now, because they are desperate to make money. They are desperate to sustain their model, and they may very well have an answer, but the answer is not in the independent film world. You have to go outside of the framework and the framing of debate, not to just make anti-propaganda movies, but to make truthful stories about our time, for our time, about people right now. What that means is go local, go niche. I'm in Philadelphia with this movie because I have 300,000 people that can see this film right now. And everything else is icing on the cake. I'm not talking about making millions of dollars. I'm talking about being able to sustain yourself as an artist. You must unite with people. This can't be about exclusivity. The old way of, I make a film, I present it to you, you buy it from me, and that's it. No. Take everything that you have today, do live stream premieres. Live stream premieres where the filmmaker and the actors introduce it. You've got a host. You can do pay-per-view on Rockfin. You can do all sorts of things. You can innovate a blueprint that can be replicated across platforms.
It's kind of like Mike Smith, my buddy Mike Smith, that made Out of Shadows. That hit a home run, and that was millions upon millions upon millions of views in just 3 days. I don't know the number. I think it was over 14 million views or something in 3 days. That just shows you what can be done. And that was YouTube. They pulled it. They put it on a website. It kept getting all the views it needed. I mean, it just skyrocketed. And then it takes me back to my buddy, Jim Caviezel, who I love dearly. And I know they're trying to get this movie out, The Sound of Freedom. Yeah. It's already made. It's done. I've watched it. It's an amazing film. But it's like I almost, I'm not going to say anything. I don't know the business of it, but I'm like, dang, it's like there's this new paradigm that's opening up. And it's like, I almost feel like they should be stepping into that. Like, hey man, I wouldn't even try to put it in a theater or this or that. Just put it.
Go to the people where the people are ready to see your film already, because they're tired of all this crap. You don't have to spend millions of dollars or do a social media campaign just to find these people.
Right. They're having the hardest time right now because of the subject of pederasses. And nobody in Hollywood wants to give them the time of day because of that subject. So I'm like, man, go an alternate route. Otherwise, no one's going to ever see this movie.
Look at what Passion of Christ did. They went to the churches. They advertised to the churches. The Chosen, look at what The Chosen did. It crowdsourced $22 million for the first season and delivered it to their audience through an app. This is the new way. There cannot be, everything that once was is no more. And I don't mean that in like that it can't be something new. You have to create it. You have to imagine it. This is about new possibilities. It's not either this or that.
And that's why I think Jim Caviezel is ahead of his time, because he sees a new Hollywood being born, or that he sees the current going in a different direction. He sees a new paradigm opening up with entertainment. And he's like, Dave, I don't want to be a part of that old world anymore. It's an old world. And I think to myself, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's a shift happening. The shift is happening right now.
Yes. They're looking at profits, bottom line dollar. The artistry of Hollywood is rare these days. In fact, I want to give you one example. 2007, There Will Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis wins the Academy Award. Paul Thomas, it's a brilliant film. But you know what I learned is that nobody in the studio system wanted to make that movie with him attached to it. This is a guy who, Paul Thomas Anderson is a successful filmmaker financially. Daniel Day-Lewis was already established as an amazing actor. Nobody wanting to make that movie. The only reason why that film got made is because P.T. Anderson's agent went and ran the Paramount studio.
Wow.
That's the only reason why it got made. So these people, and I'm saying on the whole, yes, there's always going to be innovation in art that is potential, but they're going to chase money, and they're involved at a major level with big tech now. Silicon Valley runs a portion of Hollywood, and you're going to be seeing it in virtual reality and immersive experiences. The artistry of authentic performance, talent, storytelling is, I'm not saying it's completely gone, but it's going to be diminished because there's so much money in technology now. And artificial intelligence or AI, it's a little bit more of like augmented reality, and being able, like what they did with the Matrix game, they took the Unreal Engine and they took it up 1,000%, where all they had to do was scan in their faces, and now they have all their facial recognition. That's all being done through computer. There's no more mapping, right? There's no more tracking to the face and the movement of the character and then bringing it in. They're actually able to create that in the computer now. They don't need the actors to be there. And they can also take...
So they're not going to need actors anymore either.
Well, that is true. And they will be able to, just like you saw with Carrie Fisher in Rogue One, that's the beginning. That's just the beginning. They can take the vocal recognition. They have vocal. I mean, Adobe has this technology 5 years ago. They can record your voice and they can create an entire phonic alphabet and recreate, like it just needs one person to speak. And then they can adjust the voice and pitch it according to that other actor's voice from 40 years ago. It doesn't even exist today.
Wow.
You don't even need the film. You don't even need the stock footage.
So is that going to considerably lower what actors get paid? I mean, like, so is that going to be like, so actors are just going to probably get paid for their likeliness?
I think it's going to be diminishing returns from here on out. And the ones that sign the contracts, I mean, the icons and the stars, David, this is what I try to tell people, is it's a cult, and it always has been. But without getting into too much detail, what they're going for is a long game strategy, which is iconic impressions of emotion. So Demi Lovato, and I'm not picking on her, but just it's not about her so much as it's the messaging to the children who follow her. She struggled with addiction. That's not her fault. She struggled with, a lot of mental health problems. Okay. But what do? They put the veneer back that she's healed and she's fine. We don't really know that. And that's not a judgment against her, but that mental health messaging is used to further marry and cement an emotional impression on the fan base. So they have sympathy for her because it's all about projection. We don't really know these people behind the scenes. That's not to say she's a horrible, terrible person, but we don't know her moment-to-moment reality of what she's living through. There is real feeling in all of it. It's not fake. But the truth of the matter is that our looking up to those people, no different than any other time before, really, that we see on television, is all a perception and a projection. It has nothing to do with the reality of our lives or what's really happening behind the scenes. It's sort of a veneer that we're projecting, a mirror, if you will, that we're projecting onto, and it is reflecting back to us what we feel inside. That's part of their magic that they do.
No, yeah, that's what Hollywood is. It's pure magic. Let me ask you this: how far away do you think we are from like virtual movies, like where we go to a movie and it's like holograms?
I would say 1 or 2 years tops, where the first one will come, because they've already started down that road. There's a couple, I can't remember the trailer of one of the films I saw, but it was what you're seeing right. Let me just put it like one way. What you're seeing right now, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse, Spider-Man No Way Home, dealing with alternate realities, parallel dimensions. They have a new movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, coming out from A24, which is Michelle Yeoh. I actually think it's a brilliant trailer because the concept is where she's living in multiple timelines simultaneously. Where all that will come to a head is when they have the technology and the storytelling capability that the audience in the testing responds to in I would probably say, a hybrid of choose your own adventure, right? Subjective to the individual, not just one storyline, but multiple storylines, both at home, shared. I see endless possibilities where this could go. And there's a couple of videos on on YouTube that kind of indicate where they're wanting to take this. But 1 to 2 years, you will see the first one.
So how's independent films going to compete with this? I mean,
well, it's not competing. That's the thing. I think that we make the mistake that we have to become those things in order to tell stories. Here's what I believe. David, we have a world that is fractured right now, and who, let's just say on the political side, because that's the easiest one to go to, there's a mirror, and everyone over the last 5 years was given a savior and a villain, both sides. So let's just kind of put it in context. Trump, to certain people, I'm just saying a group of people, whatever you want to call them, was a hero and a savior. To the other side, with the fake news, he was tyrannical, Hitlerian, fascist, a dictator. And look at what we have today. We have real tyranny. We have real tyranny prompted by the fake one. Okay, so what does that mean?
And the people on that side accept it. Almost
and
like
they accept it as
almost
their
like
reality.
Stockholm syndrome. Like they love it. They like Joe Rogan said, the new MAGA hat for the liberals is the mask.
Yes.
I mean, this is kind of like where we're at. The divide is that severe.
Yes, it is that severe, and it's not something that is going to be reconcilable. I know people, I mean, I kind of think about these things as like you'd have to have such a level of an event, of a reveal. And I'm not even talking about disclosure on any level. Everybody's going to see what they want to see at this point.
Right.
And there's reasons for that. I will tell people that arguing facts over emotion at this point is ridiculous. How somebody feels is how somebody feels. The bottom line is this: Hollywood does this, our media does this, our politicians do it, and even salespeople do it. It's called NLP, neuro linguistic programming. People should look into it. I'll give you a link if you want to put it in the description below. It really spells out why fear can control people against their own best interests. Even things that they used to think the day before, they can completely contradict themselves the next day, because these people understand how to shift behaviors in people using contextual descriptions that are emotional language programming that have been sewn into their consciousness, not just yesterday or today, but years in the making. And what these people are doing is they're reaping those rewards. Going back to what you said, how do we compete with that? We don't. We have to know our audience. We have to know our audience. Our audience is humanity. Our audience is human beings. Our audience is actually everybody who wants to feel love. That's why art cannot be propaganda. If you are messaging, and I'm not telling people what to do, but if you're a conservative filmmaker, okay, and you've got a certain spin on things, that's fine. But understand that you are only serving the audience that agrees with you. What art should do is it should challenge you, should make a response, it should get a feeling and a reaction out of you that causes you to reflect deeper inside of yourself. Not just reinforce what you already believe and know to be true, but challenge those beliefs. If as an artist, you go into making a movie, it really should be about, if you're really diving deep into something that's drawing you into the unknown, that's really the key. The unknown, chaos, to make order and sense out of it, new understandings of things. Your belief in those things and the challenge that it presents to you and the transcendence of that journey through the story, through the process of making that film, is like baking a cake that you're going to give to people and they're going to taste it. And you want to put all the best ingredients in it. You don't have to put every point of view. It's your point of view. But don't give me a point of view that you went into that you already knew you were going to say the moment you started making that film, because that's not art. That's propaganda.
Wow. So as you're making the film, you're doing like almost like in a sense self-discovery. You're stepping into the unknown, and all the things that happened during the making of this film is like a discovery process.
Absolutely. When I made A Child's Voice, it was simply this. I was researching human trafficking of children. Edgar puts it into a story context. We film it, we cast it, we film it, we edit it, we release it. And it's feedback, right? It's not just feedback from the audience, it's feedback. It's like this. This is inside of me. Why? I don't know, but I'm following something that is calling me to it. I create something outside of myself, something different, another vision, another version of it, another metaphor of life in a supernatural story. What does that say? I'm looking at it up on the screen. It's saying something to me. What is it saying? What is it doing to me? I don't know, but I'm feeling something. Film is feelings, man. Art is feelings. It's not literal. It's because literal is propaganda. Like I said, literal is what Hollywood is. These are the good people. These are the bad people. This is what is true. This is what is not true.
It's programming.
Programming. And the main thing that I want to impart to those who may listen to this and understand, there is an authoritarian energy out there that we see today on the left, but do not believe for a moment that the right is not also susceptible to an authoritarian expression.
Agreed.
in response to the authoritarian left. This is the danger that we're walking into if we don't learn the lessons of this time. Part of the reason why I put myself out there in whatever capacity I can is to try to say, let's tap the brakes just a bit. We've got a lot of collective insanity out there, yes, but what does everybody want? Nobody wants to live in this world, left or right. Nobody wants to live in this world, despite our understanding. So you have to go higher. If you go through the arguments of the past, you're going to be in the past. If you take somebody on a journey to something that leads them somewhere else, regardless of their understandings or their judgments or their political views or their social views, art transcends all of that, because when truth is spoken, it penetrates beyond all the bullshit and your understandings, and it awakens something inside of you that is real, your human, authentic self. That's why it's so powerful. That's where we have to go if we're going to make something greater than just opposition pieces to the shit going on outside that we all know. That's like easy. That's easy to identify.
That's just incredible. I mean, gosh, you've really opened my eyes to this. So there really is, what you're presenting here is the paradigm shift of Hollywood, of entertainment, of art. That's where we're at. This is a paradigm shift, and we're in the middle of it right now. And it's almost like two realities are going to be coexisting for a while. It's like you're going to have the propaganda of Hollywood. You're going to have the technology that they introduce, and it's going to mesmerize people. And then you're going to have this other shift of people, or current of people going in another direction of true storytelling, of true art. And am I right in that? Does that sound about like where this is going?
I think this is the greatest time in human history to be innovative, creative. You know, it was said by Buckminster Fuller and other people, you don't fight the existing reality. You build something in a new direction that makes the old one obsolete. And let me just say this, evil, whatever you want to categorize it as, if you want to categorize it as the controllers or all the people that serve it, they never see coming what is real. If you want a metaphor for that, that's the Emperor in Return of the Jedi, who said, I have foreseen it. Ah, yes, you will bring him to me. And really, when Luke Skywalker was presented with a choice to kill his own father, and not consciously, remember, he was provoked. He chose to say, I am a father like my Jedi, like I am a Jedi like my father before me, and I will not go down that road. And that's when the Emperor finally called him a true Jedi. And he said, so be it. But what the Emperor did not see is that he actually proved in that moment he knew nothing what is true and nothing what love is. And his love for his father and the belief in that love is what won the day, without Luke Skywalker having to kill his father nor the Emperor. That is our story. That's all of us. And you stand up in truth with love and peace and honesty in all that you can try in your authentic expression. You take out evil immediately, because they have no weapon that can defeat that. If you want a virus that can spread a contagion, it's love. Love is the antidote to all of this time. And it's not just love and light. It's the battle within ourselves to heal this person inside. And you can do it with truth and love and compassion and empathy and forgiveness. That's the key. Forgiveness that is given first by someone who has forgiven themselves. You have the power. This time that we're living in, whether you do art or create anything, is your time to create through love, through that vibration. If it's making a cake, if it's making a film, if it's creating a business, if it's going out and saying, here's where the land is, here's where the water is, here's where the food is. Come, build that community. It's there. The hunger is there. I can't, nobody can deny that the hunger is not there.
Dude, I love our interviews. I love you got to come on more often, John.
We will. Let's do it. I'd love to talk with you about a lot of things and whatever flows, you know.
Well, I want the deeper subjects I want to dive into. I'm going to put this on Fluff Tube, so let's leave it to where it's at right now. I got to go on the Steve Bannon show right now, but
good deal.
Game Day is on Vimeo, Demand, and Amazon.
Yep.
How much is it to purchase it and watch it?
Purchase is like what, $9.99 to rent it is $3.99. And if you go to gamedaythemovie.com, you'll find both of them there, because Amazon and Vimeo can hide things. But gamedaythemovie.com, you'll find it there. Tell your friends about it. If you like it, leave a review. We love to hear what people actually think. I don't discriminate against people. You know, if they don't like something, hey, at least I got a response.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it's not just about me, but it's about the message of the movie. That's why we do it.
Thank you, John. I'm going to be airing this tonight. I'm going to put it at about 7:30 premiere. So this is going to stick on Fluff Tube. I think we made it. So, but I want to get you on Nino's Corner.tv to talk about the deep and dark of Hollywood. People, they need to know it, and they love it. They love to hear about this stuff.
All right. That sounds great, man.
Thank you so much, John. I'll keep in touch with you.
All right, brother.
God bless.
Take care.